'Cause nobody does it like you. I like the way that you move. That's why I never go through with leaving you. Everybody's
A few moments later.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Siti Nurlailatus Sakinah and I'm from A class. In here I will to explain about phonology rules, the part of insertion and deletion. The first is phonological rules. Are rules in phonology, the science of sound in language that explains how sound phonemes are changed or pronounced in certain contexts. This means that even though a word is written one way, the way it's pronounced can be different depending on the position or surrounding sound. In the example, is the word cats. It's pronounced cats, cat. The word dog is pronounced is dogs. Even though they both add the suffix s, they sound different. Now, this change is explained by the rules of phonology. Then the division of the rules of phonology, there are 6. Namely, the first is assimilation, dissimilation, insertion, deletion, fortation, and lenation. So in here I will explain two material phonology rules about insertion and deletion. And the first material is insertion. Insertion is when a sound that is not written in the spelling of a word appears in the pronunciation. It happens to make word easy to pronounce. Our mouth naturally adds a sound to help with articulation. Insertion is easy, that is when writing it does not exist but exists when sounded.
A few moments later.
Situations in which a sound is actually dropped, which is called deletion or elision. But interestingly, we have cases in which sounds are inserted, which is called insertion, or more technically, epenthesis. So again, these are two different names for the same process. They don't mean different things. So what is insertion? Is a process by which one or more sounds, so it could be more than one, are inserted into a word or in between words. So as you remember, in deletion we had a sound that became nothing. So insertion is the opposite of deletion because it is a case in which nothing becomes something. Let me give you some examples.
A few moments later.
The next is example of insertion. And the first word is prince. Prince in pronouns is prince. We add T sound is added between the N and the S. So instead of just prince, it sounds like prince. The next is word film. In pronouns it's film. We add a sound in the middle to make articulation easy. So instead of just film, it sounds like film. The last example is the word hamster. Hamster inserted P between M and S on hyperarticulation. So instead of just hamster, it sounds like it's hamster. And then I have a sample video. The next.
I'm absolutely livid that there's no P in that word. Nobody says hamster.
So a couple folks tagged me in this, and I love to be of service. Broadly speaking, this is a process called epenthesis. So epenthesis occurs whenever you insert a sound to increase what linguists call the ease of articulation. Moment to moment, speaking probably feels effortless, so you might not always realize that a lot of what you're doing with your mouth requires a lot of fast, really delicate precision. So humans have a lot of strategies for making all that effort easier on our mouths and tongues. Specifically, this kind of epenthesis is called bridging consonant clusters, and it occurs because your mouth is having trouble jumping from the sound to the st cluster. All consonants have what's called a place of articulation, and that just means the part of your mouth you use to make the sound. It's difficult to move quickly from your lips to the place on your palate where you pronounce the S and the T, so people insert a P to make it easier. Hence, hamster.
A few moments later.
No. What is this? Who is this from? Is this something for me?
A few moments later.
The previous video used an insertion in the form of the word is something. You can in the pronouns is something. We add P sound in hyperarticulation. It sounds like something. Even though it's written something.
Law and order. So how would you transcribe this? So I'm going to transcribe it in law and order, right? So far it's clear because this is American English. So in British English, it should be law and order. So far it totally makes sense, but if you listen to British English speakers, you would hear an R here, which doesn't exist. There's no R here. Even in North American English, there's no R. This is called intrusive R. Intrusive R is like, I don't know, maybe it's because of analogy, like car and a house, you see, an R is inserted intervocalically. Here, without there being an R, British English speakers actually insert an R, which is like, it's not there, but while they're speaking, they insert it. They say law and order. And of course, this happens in rapid speech, so and would be pronounced as and, law and order. And actually, in rapid speech, the de would drop, so we would have a case of deletion as well, law and order. So and would become an. So this is a case of intrusive R. So intrusive R is an example of epenthesis. So consider that this is different from pronouncing the R when it's actually there in the word car. It's actually there, but it's not pronounced unless it's followed by a vowel. But the intrusive R happens when it's actually not there, but maybe by analogy to this or whatever reason is, or it's intervocalic between two vowels, they just insert that. I can give you another example of in the intrusive R. So I saw it. It would be, you can predict this. I saw it. Right? So in RP or British English, you are very likely to hear I saw it. Again, an intrusive R. I saw it.
The next material phonology rules is deletion. Deletion is the process of removing sound in a word to simply pronunciation. It can be a consonant vowel or part of a sound group. And the types of deletion and the example. The first is consonant deletion. Consonant deletion is deletes consonant, especially in consonant cluster. In the example is handbag. The D sound between N and B is removed. And the second is friendship. The D sound is omitted. You can spelling is friendship. The second type is vowel deletion. Vowel deletion or syncope. A vowel, often a weak vowel like a ska, is removed from the middle of a word. In the example is family. The middle vowel is deleted, so it sounds like a family. The second is every is omitted, so just sound like.
A few moments later.
It sounds like every. The types 3 is final consonant. Final consonant deletion is a common in children's speech where the final consonant of a word is left out. In the example is cat. You can spell is cat. And the second dog. The children might drop the last sound when learning to speak. It sounds like dog. And the last type is cluster reduction. The cluster reduction in a group of consonants, one consonant is dropped. The simple V the cluster. And the example is next day. Sound like nasty. The example 2 is asked. The K sound is deleted. It sound like is asked.
If a child is dropping off the final consonants off of words, we can start speech therapy by showing 2 pictures that are exactly the same or sound exactly the same, except for that one has a final consonant and one does not. So light and lie. And then we can help the child understand that when they say it, they're saying lie, and we want them to try to say light. And then we can really emphasize that last sound. Another example would be no and nose. They sound the same except for one has a z at the end. So we'll start with this and have them just point to the picture that we say. Then we'll have them say the words and see if they can get that final consonant on the end as well. When a child deletes off the beginning sounds of words, we call this initial consonant deletion. It's not a speech error that we often see in children, so when we do see a child who is leaving off those beginning consonants, we like to see them in speech therapy. Those are the children that we would like to go ahead and get evaluated and make sure that they're getting the support that they need. At home, we can help by exaggerating those beginning sounds and pointing to our mouth to help the child hear it, such as, listen, ball. That word has a b at the beginning. Listen, b, ball.
A few moments later.
That's all the explanation of phonological rules material about insertion and deletion from me. More or less apologies. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.